Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. What do we do here? Personal development, relationship and spiritual wellness matters. And today I'm excited as usual to come on here and drop another episode for you guys. Thank you for always engaging with my content. For those that have subscribed, I appreciate you so much, and those that have not, kindly do so. I know you love it here, so please take a minute to subscribe, like, because I know you're gonna love this episode as well as much as you did the last one. And let's get right into it. So what are we talking about today? We are talking about high value relationships. And as usual, guys, and as you know, high value anything, not even about relationships, high value anything requires a high amount of investments, a high level of investment, be it financially, be it spiritually, be it physically. If you want to build muscles, it requires investment in time and in practice in whatever it is that you want to build that is high value. And relationships are not exemptional. So I decided that today we are gonna be talking about high value relationships. And so I know it's not for everyone. I know people give up along the way. Some people give up along the way, but people who are intentional and people who really want to see their relationships thrive, they will definitely put in the work. So I'm talking to you who wants to build a relationship that is intentional, a relationship that is blossoming, a relationship that is beneficial to both parties. It is up to you to know that if you put in the work, then it will pay off. Remember, the grass is not greener on the other side. It is greener where it is watered. So pay attention to what we are talking about today. And I know if you have not begun any relationship, I know this is probably for you, because why start a relationship anyway if it's not going to be high value? Why start a business if you don't want it to succeed? Why start anything at all if you don't want it to be high value? So if you're starting a relationship or you look forward to getting into a relationship, then this video is definitely for you. If you are in a relationship, it's never too late to do better, so kindly let's sit on tight, put on our safety belts, and let's have this conversation. Kindly give us tips also on the comment section. Remember, I'm not perfect, or rather I just give views from what I see in other relationships, from what I see in other people's ways of life. So definitely your comment is most welcome in this video. And without further ado, let me get right into it. And there are different things that would make your relationship high value, and one of them is the juice, that is intimacy. But there are different levels of intimacy. A psychologist or a sociologist will tell you this. And the different levels of intimacy are: one, we have spiritual intimacy; two, we have financial intimacy; three, we have social intimacy. Yes, I hope I've mentioned all of them. If I've forgotten anything, kindly remind us in the comment section. And these levels of intimacy, I think I have forgotten social intimacy as well. These levels of intimacy inform the value of our relationships. And maybe we can start with spiritual intimacy. Remember, especially for those who did it the formal way and the best way anyway, because I'd advise all of us to do it the formal way, where there is investment in people and investment in time, acknowledging God in that relationship. Then there's spiritual intimacy. And if it's about spiritual intimacy, it reminds you that this is a covenant, that this is not just any other agreement, that this is something where you involved God, a higher power, and you cannot joke with anything that has involved God, because as much as there are blessings, there is also a curse that comes with you not following what you're supposed to be following as a partner. So guys, spiritual intimacy basically has to do with growing your spirituality together. And what that does is it helps you as a couple to grow closer, because if you are accountable to God, both of you, if you remember that your accountability is more to God than it is even to your partner, then the level of responsibility goes higher. For example, if in a workplace there is a task that has been given to you by your boss, and a task that has been given to you by your peer, you will agree with me that if it has been given to you by your boss, you will put in more work and more there will be more attention to detail when it comes to your boss. For some reason, it's just natural, it's just human. You will put in more work, you'll put in more attention to a task that has been given to you by your boss more than you will with your peer, because of course the level of respect and all that. So in that case, if there is spiritual intimacy between you two, then you will have that spiritual consciousness, to always remember that, you see what, I cannot do ABCD to my partner because I'm accountable to God, or rather I need to do ABCD to my partner because at the end of the day I get to answer to God. So that's spiritual intimacy. Pray together, read the word together, and that prayer just brings you even closer. I'm sure you've seen so many portraits that are written, a family that prays together stays together. It is actually true. There are very small chances of you praying together, reading the word together, and yet your relationship fails, unless of course you are a very good pretender. But I hope that's not the case. Remember, we are talking about high value, so it has to be genuine, it has to be authentic, it has to be intentional. The other level of intimacy that speaks into the value of your relationship is social intimacy. And social intimacy has to be building a circle of friends that is common. Why is it important to have a circle of friends that is common? Because of accountability. Sometimes, I'm not saying that when you get married, leave alone the friends that you had as a single person, but then make sure that your time mostly is spent with friends who are common, who are mutual for you both, where you're comfortable together, such that you're able to point out things to your partner. You're able to point out things to your partner and they will not feel like you're limiting their lives. That is the cost you have to pay anyway for coming into a relationship with an individual. You allow them to get into your life so intimately, so deeply, that they speak into some of these things. They speak into the relationship you get yourself into, casually or even formally. You allow them to have a voice over things that previously you would decide by yourself. So have a common circle of friends, so that if it's about accountability, these are friends that you can talk to about your relationship. These are friends that you can listen to concerning relationship, concerning work, and concerning other issues that affect life. So that is the importance of having a common group of friends, so that you're both comfortable with a group of friends. You can call out things, together, like both of you can mention something that you did not like somewhere, and they will not feel offended because they're not their individual friends. Remember, once you get into a relationship, now what is most important, truthfully, is that relationship. You prioritize it. That is why you are exclusive with this partner. So social intimacy is very important. It could destroy you or build you. It could destroy your relationship or build it anyways. So it just depends on the amount of time you put in to these friendships. Are you prioritizing the friendship over the relationship? So social intimacy, please pay attention to those friendships, and pay attention to your partner's thoughts about those friendships. But of course, even as we give our views on friendships, let us also be very mature about it. Let us also be very considerate about it. Let us build trust with each other as partners, so that friendships will not have to come and, destroy our relationship, where they're meant to be accountability partners. Again, actually, the other thing that social intimacy does for you is that you're not in a secluded kind of space. Remember, when you're in a secluded kind of space in your relationship and in your marriage, sometimes the Bible says that the heart of a man is desperately wicked. So sometimes you need that accountability. You need to know that your partner could talk to a person or two concerning the issues in your marriage, so that every time you feel like doing something that is not in order due to just humanity, you will remember that there's accountability elsewhere also, just to keep you in check. So social intimacy is another thing that really brings relationships into the level of being called high value. The other level of intimacy that will really help you is financial intimacy. I know there has been stories and stories on end before, and especially with I think Generation X parents will tell you to keep your finances private, probably because of the experiences they've had previously. That's because most of their relationships, honestly, we cannot call them high value. They were dysfunctional, they were selfish. Most of them were selfish. Everybody was in there to get their own benefit and live. But for these relationships, especially with millennials, maybe with Gen Zs, we want to build relationships that help us grow as partners, not individuals. That's the reason why we came together anyways. So when it comes to financial intimacy, it means you're open about your finances with your partner. And again, it's important to have common goals, especially in looking for finances. If you have common goals, the more the goals are common, the better. Because if you're working on a particular thing, then it won't be so hard for you to bring your finances into that pool, because you know that the end goal is probably getting a plot, the end goal is building a house, the end goal is whatever project you're doing. If you bring your minds together and you agree on certain projects that have to do with finances, then it makes it easy for you to open up about these finances. If you're working in different places, it's important to also open up about that, because the more the secrets in a relationship, the more you grow distant from your partner, because now you start feeling the need to hide a certain amount of money. That's the advice most people will give you out there, because there is still trust issues. There's still trust issues, and you cannot blame them. It's because they've had bad experiences before. Some partners have really taken people through hell and back, so you cannot blame them. But yours, we are talking about the one that you're building. It can be unique, it can be high value, in the sense that you choose to be open with your partner about your finances, open with your partner about your goals, and then you bring your ideas together, and then you see what will work for you guys as partners. So financial intimacy is actually very important in determining the growth of that relationship, in determining the closeness, or how much you will drift from your partner. So if you want to grow together, if you desire some of those family businesses you see out there, if you desire some of those projects you see out there that are, that have family names, believe me, then you have to be vulnerable about it. You have to compromise. You have to decide to be open about what you're spending, what you're earning. You have to be open about being questioned. Why did you take this loan? Why did you spend money here? And you do all this in love at the end of the day, because you trust your partner, you trust their intentions for you. And I mean, you can see from the patterns, from the everyday decisions that your partner makes, and from the everyday decision that you make as a person, you can already tell if someone has the best interest at heart. And where you feel like they're tripping a bit, you have the right to question. So financial intimacy is the other thing that will determine whether your relationship is high value or not. And from the beginning, just start a tradition of opening up, having common goals, and it will work well with you. The other form of intimacy that is so important in high value relationship is physical intimacy. It's funny that before people come together as a couple or a married couple, physical intimacy seems very intriguing. I don't know if it's about, forbidden fruits have a secret charm. Married people will tell you that before they got married, there was some excitement, some crazy desire for physical intimacy before marriage. But when you come into marriage, now it becomes something that you have to work on. It does not come automatically, probably because of familiarity. But I was watching a video by a couple I love so much. They're called the Phoenix Family. And one thing that the guy said is, if you constantly remind yourself about the value of your partner, don't just look at them as any other human being, but think about the value you thought about initially. It will be so easy for you to do away with familiarity. Don't just look at them as just any other person. Now that they're in the house with you, now that you sleep with them every day on the same bed, you talk to them every day, and now you lose value for them. You feel like there is nothing else there is to unfold in them. Always remember that this is a valuable person. The ideas you used to see in the past are the ideas that are going to build you right now, and the ideas that you have are the ideas that are going to build this person to become even better. So you need to see the value in your partner and to remind yourself about the value in your partner constantly, so that you keep the physical intimacy fire burning. And actually, a marriage without physical intimacy almost amounts to no marriage, because that is the gift that God gave to married people so that they would have an exclusive kind of relationship. Remember, that is one thing that is actually exclusive from any other relationship. That is the one thing I'm assuming, especially for people who are Christians and staunch Christians for that matter. Marriage and physical intimacy. Physical intimacy is the one exclusive thing, completely exclusive, that is not found in other relationships. You could have financial intimacy with some of your friends, such that you're very open with them about your finances. You could have that with your family members. You could have social intimacy with your family members because you share friends. But when it comes to physical intimacy, that's only for your partner. So if you let go of that, then that means that your marriage is just any other relationship to some extent, unless, of course, it's a health issue. But that is something that you should keep close in your heart and in your mind. It is something that you should be intentional about, regardless of the busy schedules, regardless of any other thing that happens. But also, apart from it being something that you should be intentional, it's something that you should also enjoy. But how do you enjoy all these things? Physical intimacy is just like the very last thing, like the very last connection after you have been able to connect with your partner on all these other levels we're talking about, like having common goals so that your time is well spent, it's valuable. Once you have time together, when you talk about quality time, for example, we're not talking about just existing physically, in the same space. We are talking about play games, have conversations, watch movies, do something exciting, learn about things that you can do together that excite you, that make your hearts grow fonder and fonder for each other. So physical intimacy will not work unless all these other forms of intimacy have worked, really. So it's work. When you talk about high value relationship, it takes work, but again, it works. It's just like any business that you value. When you put in the work, then you get to see the profits, you get to see it rewards you richly. So even for high value relationships, I know it's not meant for everybody. I know, of course, along the way, even as I speak right now, I know there are some people who've given up on the idea of high value relationships. They're like, let's just exist. Let's just bring up our children together. But you do not know the reward that there is in a relationship that has been cultivated for intentionally. Think about friendships. Think about friendships where you've put in so much time and energy together, where you value even gifting one another, even the slightest of gifts, where you think about the investments that you put in other friendships. Now think about the investment that you would put in a relationship, in a marriage, and the rewards that are therein. So if you're thinking about a high value relationship, you need to think about all these levels of intimacy that we have talked about, and you need to be intentional about it. One thing that you will not run away from if you want a high value relationship, then it is something called compromise. You cannot afford to be the same person you were before you got into a relationship, and when finally you get into a relationship, there are things that you will have to let go, and there are things that you will have to accommodate. You will have to learn to pour into the cup of your partner, and you will have to allow your partner to pour into you as well, whether it is something that impresses you or something that pushes you, to become better. Sometimes it's things that you're not comfortable about. You know, when they, for example, when they talk about finances, when they ask you about your salary, it's not funny because maybe you mismanage your funds, but now somebody else is coming to talk about your finances and they want to help you do better about them. Initially it's not gonna be interesting, it's gonna be intrusive to some extent, you know, but at the end of the day, once you trust the heart of this person, once you start seeing the value of their views, then you realize that it's actually for your own good. So high value relationships are not for low value people. It starts with individuals, it starts with intentionality. If two intentional people come together and they decide that, you know what, we are going to work on these relationships, every beautiful relationship you see out there, a lot of work has been put into it. So let's think about all these levels of intimacy we have talked about. Let's think about how to invest in them, how to put in the work, and at the end of the day, our relationships are gonna work. So it's up to you. I don't know what you're looking for in a relationship, I don't know what you're hoping for in a relationship, but if you're hoping to start a relationship, then I must remind you that you have to be intentional about it, that you have to be vulnerable, you have to be ready to be an open book to your partner so that your relationship can also be valuable, just like any other thing that you hope to work for in life. It's not easy, but it's doable, and at the end of the day, it gets easier because now your system has already been conditioned to doing the hard things, but doing them in a seamless way. Remember, every time you put in work to learn a new skill, it gets easier with time. So is a relationship. If you put in work, then with time, it becomes easier for you to be vulnerable. It becomes easier for you to pray together. It becomes easier for you to solve conflicts, you know, without having to fall out, and so on and so forth. I hope that this episode has been helpful to you. I hope it's been informative. Kindly remember to share your thoughts in the comment section so that we can also learn from you. If you believe you're in a high value relationship, I know we can learn a thing or two. So kindly drop that powerful comment. Let's see. And if you have nothing to say but have learned something, you can also drop a love emoji there. Let's know that you are indeed in this video and you learned something. And also remember to share, because I know this is gonna help somebody somewhere. Thank you for staying with us. See you in the next one. Bye bye.